Oh my gosh. Well, hey guys, welcome to the Past Due Movie Reviews podcast with Tyler and Lance Richards. We're coming to you
Going
from
on.
Ohio and Backwoods, Florida. Is that right? Backwoods, Florida.
The backwoods. We smoke weird cigars around here.
Oh,
I don't even want to get into it. It's not like alligator.
there's actually a cigar shop not too far from where I live, and it's behind this place called the Cleveland Doghouse. So they sell hot dogs and like smash burgers, and then there's a cigar lounge. You can go back there. It's called the Havana Cigar Lounge. Never been in there.
See, I would like the cigars, but I think the smash burger would get me first, and then the cigar wouldn't sound very good. Because I'd be like, I had this really good burger in my belly. I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's in an old house, but if you guys ever come up to Cleveland, yeah, my family lives in Cleveland area, Ohio, so that's where we're at. But we're here to talk movies. We're here to talk a particular movie. I gave a little teaser. Lance, did you see the teaser at all?
I did. You know, it's at a point in the movie where I'm like, there's no way he had time to do that. She's literally describing the speed that his top speed that he can go, and then you like run into the house with under like 10 seconds, and it's like, oh, I don't want to give it away because we're not there yet, but it's a funny part of the movie because time isn't really a factor in this movie until that very point. You're like, oh, that was kind of strange.
Yeah.
Well, the cat is dragged in a sight for 4 eyes, that is for sure. You look dreadful.
Yeah, there's lots of little nuances. So we're actually going to talk. Our episode name is actually, I put it as Malfunction, Need Input. And if anybody knows what I'm referring to, we're referring to Short Circuit. A Short Circuit from the 80s.
Number 5 is alive.
So did you have any information?
Did you just give it away?
Well, I gave it away, but we had to. Yeah, that's the name of the movie. Although,
I'm sorry, I need input. More input, Tyler number 5.
Malfunction. Need input.
Stephanie, more input. Ah. Ridiculous. Actually, pretty cool puppeteering, but I don't know who the puppeteer is.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. So, it's a great flick. I think it's a fun 80s film. There's quite a few big names in it, or at least people that were prominent during that time. And I love that movie. It still makes me roll. It still makes me laugh. It's just one of those movies that I could watch again and again, and I'll probably laugh at one part of it. There's even little parts that I'm like, oh, I didn't see that before. And there's all these little things that, the fun part about it is I mean, it was low budget technology at some level, I think, not compared to today's standards. There was no CGI and all those things, but I still love that movie. I don't know what you think about it, if you still love it, if your kids loved it.
It's a movie that I haven't probably watched since college, so I was excited when you're like, hey, I want to do this one, and you kept referencing it like on our last movie review, and I'm like, well, okay, yeah, you know what, I probably haven't seen this since college with one of my roommates, Lee Nelson, if you're watching this, hi. Which you're definitely not. Well, just to say hi. I haven't watched it since then. And but with that being said, there's always little references here and there, or little tidbits of that movie that kind of like live on. There is a movie in my life that I probably quote 5 or 6 times a day. And I'll say the one quote, and Tyler, you can't give it away because it'll be one of our next, not the next movie review, but it will be a movie review. And I think you almost got what I'm coming with. It's out of the way, Puck.
Out of the way, Puck.
Nobody give that away. That's gonna be something I don't want to see in the comments or nothing. Because you know what? It's a make or break, and it's fantastic. And I already know what I'm talking about.
I already know.
With that being said, like there's so many good quotes in this movie. I already have the one that I like, and it's more of a sentimental one. It's not a funny one. But yeah, my kids enjoyed definitely watching it, and like they kind of complained when I put it on. They're like, "Oh, Dad, you're gonna watch this again?" And the reason why is because we've been traveling up and down the country with our vehicle, and it's got a DVD player in there. And guess what? I have a DVD of Short Circuit. It's one of those. Like, well, this is a good family movie. We're gonna watch this one, and I can't watch it because I'm driving the whole time, and I'm just kind of hearing in the background. So they're just kind of like suffering through this movie, not understanding what's going on. Yeah, and I'm just kind of listening to it and rewatching this whole movie. I'm excited to see your perspective on some of the views that I caught on to. Mm-hmm. Other than just being an 80s jam fest, I thought there were some interesting qualities to it that I want to get into.
Yeah. I think that it's definitely a movie, and if people don't know, it had a sequel that I think bombed pretty big time, but yeah. It's one of those movies that you're like, you're totally fine with it not having a sequel, and yet they still thought they had to. And that was back in the day, though, a little bit, where the studios had no idea how to make sequels. They know how to make sequels now. Even in their bad, sequels are good. So, I mean, comparatively to the originals. But back then, when a sequel was bad, oh, man, they bombed. But so I'm not recommending that sequel to anybody. If you want to watch it, we're probably not going to do. I mean, I guess we could if we wanted to heckle it. And that might be a possibility.
It'd be a heckler, and I have to watch it like 2 times as fast because it's funny. Like I had a lot of time when I was younger watching movies, and now that I've got a lot of kids, I'm like, watching a movie it's a long process for me. Unfortunately, I'm like, man, I got to really kind of work on this.
I know I can't watch a movie all the way through. It has to be in bits, unless we go to the movie theater. Yeah. But.
Yeah, maybe that'll be some people's disappointment with our channel is that it takes a long time for us to kind of get through a movie. We both have quite a bit of kids on an American lifestyle perspective, and there's bedtimes, there's dinner time, there's church, there's this and that. But we both love movies, and we both make our time for it. So sometimes you just gotta grit your teeth and just watch a show, watch a movie. I didn't watch a show. Shows are bad. Movies are great. Watch a movie.
Sandra and I had gotten into the habit of watching like cop shows. We're actually watching The Closer right now, and actually that's pretty good. And it has a character or an actor from Short Circuit, G.W. Bailey, and he plays the same character. Well, not same character, but he plays a certain type of character. But so, Lance, you got any info on a Short Circuit for us? Any background?
Not necessarily background, and what I do have, it kind of will bring us back to last week. Fisher Stevens, he's the guy who plays Ben. Oh my goodness, Newton, you have Dirk. He's a white guy playing an Indian guy, which is pretty funny in hindsight. I'm guessing most people didn't understand that or know that, and it's only if they were to research it, they would find themselves offended. So just get over it. But the funniest part about it that I enjoyed was Austin Pendleton. He's the one who plays Howard Manor.
Hail, Dr. Mariner.
Thank you, number 2. Just the way I like it, shaken but not stirred.
Or Marner.
Yeah.
And
Mariner.
Like, I'm like,
I don't know.
I was like, I know that guy. And what I know him from is a movie that it's not one of our 80s movies, but when we go into our 70s features, we'll be highlighting him. Yep. And all right, you know exactly what I just did. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Tell them what you do, snakes.
Yes. You guys can guess that in the comments. If you can guess that reaction, I will give you a high five when you meet me in real life. Yeah, or Tyler, or if you find Tyler, you can give him a high five in that, because if you can figure that out, that's impressive. That's a me and Tyler thing, and other people
Man,
will figure that out, and we'll hit them, we'll slap them.
yeah.
I don't know.
Oh my
Give
gosh.
him a
Oh my
sucker.
gosh. But yeah, he's actually really funny. He's actually a really funny guy. What'd you say his name was?
I called him Austin Pendleton.
Austin Pendleton. So it's kind of it
I'm
sounds like
trying
a
to improve
nerdy
from
name.
our last podcast. Like my wife lovingly was saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna watch your movie podcast thing," and I was like, "Oh, good." And she goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna like let you know what you can do better." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And
That sounds
she has some
great.
she has some good comments and like, hey, instead of saying like, only there's like that one Latina chick, I'm like, yeah, I could probably do better with that.
That's
So
yeah.
like, I printed off a list of people that I can actually list their names as.
Oh, okay. Well, who else was in this film? I know there's a few others that I know I mentioned
Steve
GW.
Gutenberg's a huge one. He actually had a career, not a huge one, but with Disney. He was more of like a Disney guy, like the Big Green. I think it's like the movie he was in, and a few other
Police
things. But
Police Academy was his big series that he did.
okay,
Yeah, I remember that. I never really watched a lot of Police Academy. He was just in a lot of them. But yeah, Steve Gutenberg. He's actually pretty funny. He's in a few films that are worth watching. 3 Men and a Baby and a few others, but never
yeah,
really watched.
he's almost believable as like the kind of the tech nerd.
Well, let me get my other one.
They bring him up to be,
Oh,
it's like an
yeah.
80s flick. But if you were to watch in the 80s, you'd have no idea. And like, you look at that guy and like, yeah, he's a nerd. He's like, well, I don't know anything about girls. It's like, I'm just out here to find a robot. And then, you got the Ben. He's a total horn dog the whole time. So
I know.
worked out.
It worked out. What was the? I think there was one more big name in that. Was it Ali Sheedy? Is that she was the girl?
Yes,
she plays?
Stephanie.
Yeah, and what's funny about her is if you watch The Breakfast Club, she's in that film, and her character almost has like hardly any dialogue, and yet she just can't stop talking in this movie. Like that's all she does in this movie. So, yeah, I don't dislike Stephanie, but it's
yeah, she's the one where you're like, oh, who's like the mysterious girl that won't say anything, and then in this movie she's.
Do you know who played the voice of Johnny Five? Did you find that out? I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
Tim Blaney. He's also, if you got where in the Men in Black series, he was the voice of the dog, the pug.
Frank.
Hey, yeah, I'm Frank. That look upon your face. I think that's from the second one.
Hey, Jay.
He's riding around with Jay. That's his name. That might be an interesting movie for us to review. I know it's not an 80s. It's more. What was that? 1999.
That's fine. It's still past due. It's way beyond. I mean, it's
past due. Yeah.
It's way beyond.
These are all the movies that nobody else wants to talk about, and I'm definitely okay with that because we can give our own unique perspective on. Like these aren't professional movie reviews. These are just like, hey, this is what I think about this movie.
It's not going to deter the box office. It's not going to affect any sales because I mean, it might. People might go and buy this movie, or stream
if they
it.
do, then you and we're gonna have to get some sort of like suit or zoot suit. What do they call them?
I have no idea.
Just a nice jacket, and we're gonna have to go to the theaters and start shaking hands with people. I mean, it's gonna get awkward. It'd be terrible.
Yeah. I don't want to do that. I'm not really. Yeah, my day job, I already put a lot of energy out there, and I don't want to do that for funsies.
Yeah,
But,
you got your sheep already. You got your sheep.
yeah, the sheep. Yeah, yeah. But I want to go back to G.W. Bailey as Scroder. He was in the Police Academy movies. He's in this show, The Closer. He's played lots of cop types, lots of different military types. I guess he was in MASH. So like he's a character type, and obviously he hasn't cared about what character he's like happy with playing authoritative figures. But the funny thing about G.W. Bailey and his cohort of military people, like, where did they all come from and what do they do on a regular daily basis? Why do they have all this stuff? Just for the robots? I mean, are people trying to break into this place, this Nova Robotics? Like, we think of robotics companies now. I don't think they have this type of security unless they were like military or something. But I'm like, where in the world? So that's one of the things about this movie. I was like, this can't be real if you really think about it. You're like, they have this like half tank and they're like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, they're practically a military police force. And I'm like, I don't, maybe, but they're going around and they just blow stuff up in Washington and Oregon, like two of the most like liberal, they police states, I guess, if you want to say that. We'll probably get in trouble for that. But you know what I mean? Like, they don't like,
Don't listen to that.
yeah, they're like, but I'm like, okay, whatever. So I guess that's one of the nuances of the movie. If you really pay attention, you're going to go, that doesn't seem right. But anyway.
Yeah, it is kind of funny. They're like, we've got bazookas and tanks and whatever else looking for this thing. I'm like, man, like, what is going on with this tech facility? Well, and that should bring us back to the beginning of the movie, right? Where you get the opening credits scroll, and you're just hearing all this. I mean, this movie is such a it's such a thing of its time. They go do 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 do.
Oh yeah.
It's all 80s like trash that you'd hear on the keyboard. And this would have came out after the first Terminator movie, and where they would have had like that dum 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 dum, such an iconic theme song. So, but it was on a keyboard, and it was still very like 80s sounding, and it was kind of cheesy, but it was really good, catchy.
Yeah,
I think a lot of movies at this time, especially if you were like a sci-fi, were probably trying to copy that. And so you see like in the opening credit crawl, like you get like the track of the thing like kind of like falling upon itself as it's going on, and you're getting all this green like lettering on the black background, all these command codes and this and that, and it's all this like you were trying to sound so cool and you're just a dork, and we're watching this.
Oh man, yeah, it definitely dates the film. It's not like it's cool.
It's in 80s.
It's not like where the Stranger Things soundtrack goes, and they had the best synthesizers, but you would never hear that in an 80s in a real 80s. So like it's the nuance, but it definitely dates it when it does things like that. I think that's why films have historically even gone with the strings and the real orchestra, because it doesn't date anything. You can make it do. It's just been something that's been done and continues to be so, and it doesn't provide any date for the movie unless it's like those early 90s movies where they all sounded the same, the soundtrack. You're like, who wrote the score? But you're like, this guy just ripped off this other guy. But
that's what kind of like with the Short Circuit. The beginning is like, you can't really like, if I were to hear that, even though I've seen this movie, I want to be able to like know what movie that's coming from. I'd be like, that's an 80s movie, and I probably have seen it, but I don't know what that's from.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, it wasn't defined. It didn't have a lick that was defined, not like Star Wars.
The Terminator thing.
Yeah, or the Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah. The lick is what defines it. But yeah, did you have any other information?
No, not really. I mean, I kind of look like birth dates of all these people, and it wasn't really too exciting for me. What I was looking at. Sorry, I got some notes here, but yeah, it was this for a movie for an '80s flick. This is probably more of a Tyler flick than a Lance flick. Maybe we could put that into our movie reviews too. Like, there's ones that he really likes. There's ones that I really like. Yeah. But we both coincide in certain ones where we just both have a laugh riot. Not that it's all laughs, but I think there's other movies that came out in the '80s that we really feel like a great emotional pull to. I think we referenced last week the John Horner film scores that really get to us. But with that being said, this is more of a Tyler film, but I am more than happy to help him review it. So with that being said, what really stood out to you with this film that you want to latch on to?
Well, there's some funny things. So like things that obviously date it, when the robots at the beginning are like, oops, sorry, robot coming through, they sound very robotic. And then you realize Johnny Five, eventually when he becomes alive, he gets struck by lightning. And then he's like, has all this inflection in his voice. And I'm like, his voice box couldn't have done that. And I was like, okay. Like, there's no inflection in the voice box. It's just computer sounds. But what I love about Johnny Five is controlled. I don't know who does the puppeteering, but it's like some sort of animatronic done with some like other puppeteering type things.
Oh yes, livid, perturbed.
Okay, hold it right there.
Code 45, semi-automatic. Play-Doh.
What do we do now?
And it really is brilliant because they're able to do so much with that character, and actually they put a lot of things on him that gave him expression. Like his eyes would bug out. His looks like his like eyebrows, but they would go up and down, and he could do this stuff, and he was very mobile, and actually I think it was actually a pretty brilliant design, because they could have tried to do something that was way outside of the scope, but they said, hey, let's put a track on him with a supporting wheel, and we can drive this thing like a RC, a remote control car, I'm sure. So that makes it believable, because you're like, of course, the laser thing, okay, whatever. But what I love about this movie is probably Ben just doesn't stop. Like his character just doesn't stop making stupid jokes. His character doesn't stop making stupid, like, miscultural idioms. Like NCIS had a character on their show called Ziva, and she would get the idioms wrong all the time. And he's like, I have to go to the Jack. You mean the John? And then he would say things like, you can say that 2 times. And you're like, what? You meant to say, you could say that again. And then, one of my favorite scenes though is Ben and this other military guy, the Nova guy, they're driving in the car and they're bringing number 5 back, and he fixes himself on all this stuff, and he starts coming towards them, and the guy holds out the gun and he goes, Colt 45 semi-automatic, Play-Doh. And like it's just I just love that scene. He's Play-Doh. But I like, there's just a little parts where he's explaining fish, salmon, sushi. Just that stupid. But there's other parts in the movie. Frank is a totally, like, you hate him from the get-go. That Frank character, actually, he did his job. You hate that the actors actually do their job well enough to hate them. But one of the funny parts in the movie, and I'm sure they kept it, was when Frank is chasing after number 5, and he falls down. And he falls down with his gun. And I can tell, like, that was not planned. That was not supposed to happen, but they kept going and rolling. And I was like, what a brilliant like piece of acting and moving. And they're like, hey, that's the one, because it makes Frank look like for sure fallible and kind of an idiot, but determined enough because he likes this $25,000, so like there's all these things. And but the only thing that I love all the other characters. The only thing about Stephanie is that at some point she goes from smart to whiny. Like, her dialogue gets whiny, and you're kind of like, oh, what in the world is happening? Why is she turned into a whiner? Like, at some level. And I'm like, this doesn't feel very Ali Sheedy, if you compare with other stuff. But I was like, okay, because when I watched it, I actually watched it twice within the last few months. So I watched it and then I was like, oh, I got to watch this again. But I was like, oh, Stephanie she actually kind of whines a lot. I just like, I'm not digging Stephanie's whine, because you want to like her, and that makes me kind of dislike her. I don't think it was the acting. I think it had more to do with dialogue, but yeah. So I love the movie. There's all kinds of things that I would go back and watch and just crack up, but yeah.
Yeah, with the Short Circuit movie, it's not like it's one of those like A tier blockbuster movies. It was one of those, like, maybe not built for TV, but it was one of those to keep you entertained at some point of the year that was going to come out in the theaters.
Yeah.
And with Allie and with the Newton character, you see, like, there's a love story that's kind of not shoved, but it's definitely pushed. Like, it didn't really have to happen, but it was one of those cliches that they were going to fall for. And it kind of drove some of the characters, like Ben. He's like, oh, you got to get out there and check out these American babes, and do you know all these, like, new catchphrases? And they're like, hey, are we doing this right, doing that right? They're driving their big van. And so you kind of saw where it was going to go. Like, obviously, it was going to lead somewhere. And with the Emily character, she's, she starts off as this kind of strong, I hate to say it, this strong, independent woman character, who doesn't take no sass from nobody, to, she's all of a sudden, like, Johnny 5 is getting in trouble. She's like, Johnny, wait, no! Yeah, it gets a little whiny, but.
Yeah, so there's some writing issues there, I would probably say. But I think that for the most part, the Johnny 5, I think, and that was probably the whole purpose, like, Short Circuit, the Johnny 5 character is obviously the main character. You just never see his real face, but there's so many good things with him, because it does, like, have a childlike quality to it. And I think that's probably one of the most endearing parts of the movie, is that there's still that childlike quality that he holds. And they probably play on that a little bit more in Short Circuit too. I can't remember, but it almost makes it, I feel like that's probably why the sequel failed, along with not having the actors return. But sometimes back in the day, like I said, they wrote a sequel and they just didn't know what they were doing. They were just pushing it out because they knew they'd make money. And that's the unfortunate side of, the unfortunate side of the movie business is, back in the day, the sequels were just about money rather than art. And
I mean, you definitely saw it with, like, a lot of Disney clickbait with after Aladdin, you had Aladdin 2, and it's like, ew. Like, I remember watching that as a kid, going like, these are what sequels are. I'm like, I never watched them ever again after that. It was like, I just always knew that if there was a second one to those older cartoons, it's like, it wasn't a good one to watch. But you had mentioned something about the puppeteering with Johnny 5, and I thought, for this not being like a main tier, like an E.T. style movie, that the puppeteering was, I think, incredible for what the budget probably they had. I don't know what the budget was to begin with. Maybe you can reach out on that, but just to see him move around, interact, like, how they were doing all their stuff, like kind of the cuts they made, but that made him look so alive and so like his own unique identity, that he wasn't just a robot, but he was like this. Like what he says, he's alive. Like you see this alive robot doing all these things. Like he's like jumping up and down. He's dancing with Stephanie. He's even falling in love with her in a childlike way. You know, where in the next morning he stays up all night and he's making messes, and she's like, "It's like 3 a.m." He's like, "I don't want to turn out the TV." But you know, then all of a sudden he's making her hash browns and eggs. But the hash browns, you know what? They probably smell like the way I make hash browns. Because they smell like they're still in the box. He's like flipping the box. Yeah, he's scrambling the eggs, and the egg is just not even in the bowl. It's just everywhere in the house.
What I think is funny is when he's, you know, he reads all the material and then he comes back to her house later on and then he's slowly reading the cookbook, which I'm like, doesn't he already have all that info? Shouldn't he like, why is he reading slow now? He's like Data from Star Trek. It's all up here. He doesn't need to read it again. About 2 eggs in But I guess that's the joke, though.
That should be kind of like in his identity, but because he's alive, right? He's not like just like this computer pushing out programs. Yeah. He's like this unique identity that he's going to do things his way, and maybe that's what the difference.
That's true. I mean, and the joke doesn't land because if he didn't have the cookbook and he didn't have the apron and he didn't have all the, like, you got to tell that sometimes the joke is more important than the facts, like, or the truth, right? Like the joke sometimes just needs to land, and it doesn't matter how you get there, unless it's completely outrageous. But I agree with you. I think puppeteering is one of the hardest things to do, especially in film. Obviously, the Muppets are incredible. You know, the Muppet movie and those that followed. You really believe that they're alive. You fall like they're endearing characters. Like I love Gonzo, and you know, like he's one of my favorite characters. And sometimes I'm like, oh, Gonzo's not alive. I got to remember that. But he really is an endearing character. And the same thing with Johnny Five, and the same thing with other things that are really good. But then you can tell when there's bad puppeteering, and you're just like, oh man. Like some of those kid shows back in the day, you're like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. This is bad puppeteering. But that's what makes it believable for sure, and draws you in. So, but oh my gosh, yeah, I think this movie's great. I think it's always going to be a movie that I'll watch again and again. I don't care if anybody watches it with me. I'll watch it again and again and again. And some people are going to tell me they will watch stuff, but man, if it's not up to date or if it's not episodic type thing, it's hard for them to lock in. I know that's just the way they are. Streaming has ruined our kids' viewing, I guess. You can stream all these different things, all this different content, and we used to watch the same things over and over and over again. But
I want to kind of hit on that. Is I mean, obviously the main thing, and I think so many people from our generation can hit on, is that you had Star Wars. We had the 3 Star Wars movies for, I think, up until I was about 15, a little older for you. And so, so this is the fun part, and this is when some other people will relate to. We didn't have the VHS copies to those movies. We had what was taped off a TV from our dad. Thank you, Dad. Yeah. We had the first one and we had the third one, but we didn't have the second one. But for some reason, always on Christmas Day, they would play The Empire Strikes Back. So that was the only time we got to watch it. And I always watched like the snow scenes, and those were like really relatable because it was freaking cold outside. And then once it kind of got later into the movie, it got more adult themed, and it's like I lost interest and I like would walk away, or I don't know what happened. Maybe they turned it off, for all I know. But I always go with the first one and the third one, you know, and Return of the Jedi, you know, that's like one for more younger audiences, obviously, with the Ewoks.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Oh, sorry, yep. And so we go to those ones. And like
Yeah.
I remember you got the VHS copies of all
Yeah.
of the trilogy. And those were sacred items in our household as far as TV went.
Oh man.
And you and
Yeah.
I remember sick days being home and just watching those over and over and over again. And then they came out with a special edition, and I was like, that was fun. But I was like, yeah, they kind of changed it. Well, I'd like to go back to the original ones that I remembered and watching those.
The original is it captures the original vision. I understand remastering. I don't have a problem with that. I know we're getting off to the Star Wars. I'll say this, especially when it comes to Star Wars: A New Hope. It's like if Leonardo da Vinci took the Mona Lisa and said 20 years down the road, and he said, "You know what? I bet she could really use a pineapple tree here." And
Or a big Joker.
I bet she needs she needs a big old hat. Like there's something you just leave stuff alone. Just leave it alone. Sometimes the purity of it is what captures. Like I don't know how many times they've changed the sound of what Obi-Wan Kenobi makes when he scares the sand. It's been like 3 or 4 incarnations. And now it's like and I'm like, oh my goodness. Just don't.
You know, so I don't want to hit on it too much, but bad puppeteering. Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, when it first came out in theaters and when they first brought it out on VHS, yes, I'm old enough for that, and so's Tyler. Yoda was a puppet. And he was like this puppet that he didn't look so good, and the puppeteering was like, that's kind of hit or miss. But then when they came out with it on Blu-ray, he was digitally remastered, and not only that, he was changed into like a CGI character.
Oh,
I remember telling you, I was like, Tyler, he used to be a puppet, and you were like, I don't remember that. I'm like, he was a puppet. And
I remember that.
Yeah, it was one of those crazy things. Like that's messing with my memory, but what I remembered was true, and it was weird, and it's better. But it was one of those things that like I think I go back to the original weird dumb puppet thing, I guess.
Well, the puppet they had created for the Phantom Menace was definitely they should have just went with what was in The Empire Strikes Back. The dude's almost 900 years old. Why are you trying to make him look younger?
Yeah.
What were you trying to do? Like,
he would have been like
cares?
10
He's like,
years
what,
younger.
50 years younger? You're like, but, and I think Frank Oz still did some of the puppeteering, but like, you know, studios get involved and they lose the artistic. But anyway, yeah, bad puppeteering, or at least bad puppets, can make make a terrible film, or make it for unbelievable. And even if you can see the wires and strings and things on the puppets, like it doesn't matter if what they're doing is believable, you know, like, or exaggerated, you know, like the Kermit, yay, you know, like that's the exaggerated thing. But yeah, anyway. We've gone way off script, but
I want to keep going way off script. But you remember the movie The Dark Crystal, where there's some bad puppeteering in that movie, and it's like, oh, these things are like ugly and creepy, but it only worked because that movie was so dark and kind of creepy that you could understand in a way that maybe it didn't look good, but the movie was dark enough in a way where it kind of creeped you out, where you accepted it, you know?
Right. Well, we need to do one about that movie, because I know some behind the scenes stuff that Jim Henson.
Oh, good.
And actually, it has a prequel to it called The Dark Crystal: The Age of Resistance. So it's on Netflix. It's actually pretty good. The puppets are different. They're a little bit better, but Yeah, but that was Short Circuit. I know we went off track, and maybe we'll edit some of that stuff, but um, this was Short Circuit, and there'll be lots of clips in between. We'd love to do, but Lance, it was a fun watch, and I don't think we should give away what we're going to do next time. I know we did in the last one, and I still ask people to guess, but I don't think we're going to give away what we're going to do next time. And we'll do a lot more of those things. Just we want to have interaction with you guys that are watching this, and we're glad that we get to share our love of movies with you guys. And Lance is wearing the Hawkeye stuff this time, and I'm wearing Baby Yoda stuff. So Grogu.
I thought you were wearing Hawkeye stuff too. I couldn't see.
Snacks.
No,
he eats frogs.
Grogu.
Don't worry about it. But well, hey, past due movie review crowd, we'll see you next time, and I hope that everybody tunes in for the next episode. And feel free to interact with us, community, and all those things on our YouTube page. So we'll catch you next time. Peace out.